All right, let's dive right into today's explainer. We are unpacking a deeply personal and, frankly, completely unconventional narrative written by an author named Xuefeng. We're going to trace how a harrowing, near-death experience sparked a highly specific, reverse-thinking worldview that entirely changed the trajectory of his life. And, this isn't your standard self-help philosophy at all. It's a radical reimagining of reality itself.
Xuefeng actually hooks us right from the start with a pretty shocking admission. His own wife called him a monster because of his bizarre mindset. You see, Xuefeng's fundamental premise is that ordinary people are totally blinded by dazzling surface phenomena, by selfishness, and by immediate interests. He even goes so far as to claim that most people might end up in hell simply because they don't truly know why they're alive. But despite this friction at home, he made a bold promise to his wife. He told her that if she just followed his monster thinking, their lives would undergo a massive positive change every 5 years. And according to him, practice absolutely proved him right.
Section 1. An upside-down world and the hobby of self-anesthesia.
Picture this. It's 1987, and a Gansu publication of the Reader's Digest ran a survey asking readers a really simple question: what are your hobbies? Xuefeng submitted an anonymous response consisting of just 2 words: self-anesthesia. The magazine actually published it, noting how pessimistic and sharp it was. But for Xuefeng, self-anesthesia wasn't just a sarcastic little remark. It was a deliberate masking technique. It was a coping mechanism he used to hide his true, highly unconventional observations from a society that he felt just wouldn't get him.
So why did he feel the need to numb himself like this? Well, it's because he'd come to a pretty startling conclusion. The world is entirely upside down. He determined that people are living completely inverted lives, and everything they're seeing is basically backwards. And this massive paradigm shift didn't just come to him out of nowhere, it was actually triggered by a deeply traumatic physical ordeal back in 1982. That brings us to Section 2, the Mountain Epiphany, Survival in the Kilian Mountains. In 1982, Xuefeng was plunged into a genuinely terrifying situation. He was working to generate electricity up in the Kilian Mountains at a grueling altitude of nearly 4,000 meters, and he developed severe altitude sickness. His resting heart rate spiked to 120 beats per minute. After 2 months of this, he was choking on his food, and his fingernails literally began to indent. He was dying. A team doctor, Dr. Li, who tragically later committed suicide, actually pleaded with the leadership to transfer Xuefeng down the mountain, but the leadership cruelly denied the request. They told him this is the arrangement of the organization and the revolutionary work needs it, and even accused him of being ungrateful.
Desperate, Xuefeng tried to flee, but escape was literally impossible. Drivers were forbidden from picking up hitchhikers, and walking 7 hours through barren terrain to Yumen City was completely out of the question in his state. He realized he was being punished for offending his leader. Accepting his fate, he focused purely on surviving. He figured that since mountain grass survives the extreme cold, maybe local plants could help. So he began eating massive quantities of a wild, garlic-like onion he found. And miraculously, whether it was a psychological placebo or a physical cure, his symptoms subsided. Now out of immediate danger, he spent all his free time sitting silently on that mountaintop, deeply contemplating the very slogan that was used to trap him there.
Moving to Section 3, the reverse thinking method, decoding the conventional world.
Sitting up there, he began decoding the world in reverse. Think about it. When his leaders said organization arrangement, revolutionary work needs, conventional thinking dictates that this is a noble collective duty, right? But using his new reverse thinking, Xuefeng translated this to its hidden reality: personal arrangement, leadership needs. He realized the language of society was just a total facade. And he applied this decoding to literally everything. Obeying the organization's arrangement actually meant suppressing one's own personality. Labor is most glorious, translated directly to being an official is most glorious. A so-called reactionary individual was, in reality, a thoughtful individual. He had cracked the code, but he knew he couldn't just go around sharing it. To avoid looking completely crazy, or as he playfully put it, like a frog at the bottom of the well, he outwardly played along with the conventional world, competing for accolades, all while inwardly operating on an entirely different wavelengths. This brings us to a really critical concept he adopted: wu wei, or non-action. Now, for Xuefeng, this didn't mean just doing nothing. It meant deliberately blending in outwardly while fiercely applying his unconventional thinking inwardly. He used this exact strategy to author his work, Lifechanyuan. In fact, he was so dedicated to testing his new philosophy that he turned down a highly prestigious contracting job from Mr. Li Junru, the director of the Lanzhou Information Office. Instead, Xuefeng chose to travel abroad so he could test the universality of his theories in totally foreign environments.
Which leads perfectly into Section 4, a lifetime of testing, avoiding the frog at the bottom of the well.
To do this testing, he completely abandoned orthodox Marxist-Leninist writings. Instead, he devoured a massive, eclectic variety of texts. We're talking Eastern spiritualism like Sakyamuni and Laozi, esoteric arts like the I Ching, Feng Shui, and astrology, and major Western psychological and philosophical texts from Maslow, Freud, and Nietzsche. He was on a desperate hunt for a system that could explain the true essence of life.
But reading theory just wasn't enough. He needed real-world friction. His resume is absolute chaos, and it barely scratches the surface of his trials. He worked as a bartender, a farmer, an electrician, a party branch secretary. He herded sheep, caught pigeons, sold fruit, and he lived in extreme ways, participating in heavy gambling like mahjong and roulette, drinking until his stomach literally bled, and even using opium for pain relief. He survived the brutal starvation of 1960. He was even publicly criticized and mocked at age 13 by his school principal simply for dating. He basically subjected himself to the entire spectrum of human experience.
And man, his journey was incredibly dangerous and global. He nearly drowned in the Yellow River. While abroad, he almost died from a snakebite in the mountains of Bindura, Zimbabwe, and he barely survived a car crash in Mutare. He spent time with deeply impoverished but optimistic communities in remote Ponca, and then, on the flip side, rubbed shoulders with the highest levels of power, sharing a handshake with Chinese Prime Minister Zhu Rongji and renting a villa from a Zimbabwean minister.
Yet, despite tens of thousands of facts, an extensive college education, and all this global survival, he claims none of it fully answered his questions. It was actually 4 years of highly dedicated Bible study that led to his ultimate breakthrough. Using his reverse-thinking analysis, Xuefeng firmly refutes Darwin's theory of evolution, and he completely dismisses Richard Dawkins' theories as pure nonsense. Ultimately, he arrived at the unshakable conclusion that God unequivocally created life, arguing that ignoring this single fact just closes the door to true wisdom. Section 5. The Treasury of Wisdom and Unlocking the Universe. So what is this treasury? Well, entering it, according to Xuefeng, means achieving a much higher level of thinking. He likens it to the Buddhist concept of abiding nowhere and generating the mind. It's this advanced state where you align with the thinking of figures like Jesus, Buddha, Laozi, and ultimately what he calls the greatest creator. By adopting this scientific, devout, and selfless mindset, he asserts that you can finally perceive the invisible forces that are actively shaping our material world. But I know what you're thinking. How do you know if you've actually reached this advanced state? Well, Xuefeng offers a really fascinating metric, and you can try this yourself. He calls it the dream test. He claims that conventional thinkers have mundane, black-and-white dreams tied strictly to everyday reality. However, once you unlock advanced thinking, your dreams absolutely transform. They become vividly colorful, featuring entirely unimagined, sometimes beautiful, sometimes terrifying environments. And in these advanced dreams, you experience actual superpowers, like flying, walking on water, or passing right through walls. And as your thinking deepens even further, Xuefeng asserts that the ultimate mysteries of the universe will literally unfold right before you. Specifically, he claims that the universe's 36-dimensional spaces will become clearly revealed to your mind. Ultimately, this radical mindset allows you to transcend measurable time and infinite space. It's actually the reason the original title for his book was Trip of Transcending Time and Space. He notes that just a mere split second in one of these advanced dreams can contain multiple lifetimes of complex experiences. The end goal of all this unconventional thinking isn't just about earthly survival. It's to prepare for and truly understand the beautiful celestial realm of the afterlife, which, ironically, makes you cherish your present life even more.
Which brings us to the ultimate question for you today. After hearing how one man turned a near-death experience on a freezing mountain into a radical, dimension-hopping philosophy that flips conventional reality entirely on its head, how do you view your own reality? Are you trapped by the surface phenomena of the everyday world, or are you ready to start looking at things in reverse? Xuefeng promises even more answers in his upcoming Universe, Time and Space chapter. The question is, are you ready to explore it?